The early Greeks had a competitive run. It was a competitive marathon. They don't do it today. Symbolically, we still do this, but it's not part of the competition. And it was to run with a torch. And the winner was not just the one who crossed the line first. The winner was the one who crossed the line with their torch still lit. To run a marathon with your torch and to cross the line with it lit was quite a feat. You had to protect the flame while you were focusing on the run. Isn't that what the call of Christ is for us? To finish the race with our flame still burning, our love for Him. Where are you at today? Is the flame still burning, or is it flickering? Is it about ready to go out? Struggles, stress, hurts, frustration, all kinds of things that can begin to extinguish the flame that we have for Christ. Let me read Revelation chapter 3, starting with verse 7. Again, this is the letter to the Philadelphian church. Letter to the Philadelphian church, part 3. To the angel of the church in Philadelphia write, these are the words of Him who is holy and true, who holds the key of David. What He opens, no one can shut. What He shuts, no one can open. I know your deeds. See, I've placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have a little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. I will make those who are the synagogue of Satan, who claim to be Jews, though they are not, but are liars. I will make them come and fall down at your feet and acknowledge that I have loved you. Since you have kept my command and endured patiently, I will also keep you from the hour of trial that is going to come upon the whole world to test those who live on the earth. I am coming quickly. Hold on to what you have, so that no one will take your crown. Him who overcomes, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. Never again will he leave it. I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem, which is coming down out of heaven from my God. And I will also write on him my new name. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. Now, we're in a study of Revelation, and so we all obviously gravitate to, I'm going to keep you from the tribulation that's going to come on the whole world to test everyone. And so we could take down a rabbit trail and go after the rapture and how we're going to be protected from the hour of trial that's coming. There are so many different viewpoints on that one part of Scripture. And if you want to study it, I encourage you, go and study the different views on this. We're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the message to the church, not what's going to happen future. We're going to talk about how does this apply to me right now. Now, I'll come back to that in a little bit, just a little touch on it. But right now, that's not the important part of this letter. The important part of this letter is hold on. Hold on and don't let anyone steal your crown. An incredible thing, two of the 7 churches, Smyrna and Philadelphia, were the only 2 churches that didn't receive a rebuke. Jesus didn't have anything bad to say to them about what they were doing. Even though they were small, even though they weren't influential, you have just a little power. He had nothing critical to say of them. He just basically said, "You're mine, and you hold on to me." You know, Jesus loves those who hold on to him. He knows your weakness. He knows your struggles. He knows that you hurt. He knows that you don't have a lot of influence. He knows that you're barely holding on. He knows that in your heart you're struggling to protect his word. In your life you're struggling to keep that flame burning, but it seems like everything in life is pressing in to try to snuff it out. And he says, "Don't worry, I will protect you. You're holding on to me, I'll hold on to you." We find in this that the size of the ministry isn't what determines success. We love to do that today. The size of the ministry equals success if it's big. Jesus doesn't measure our success by how many people attend a church. Success in his eyes is faithfulness in your daily life, especially in the midst of your struggles and your trials and your hurts. James chapter 1, verse 1, chapter 1, verse 12. "Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life that God has promised to those who love him." Have you ever felt blessed when you're going through a trial? Have you ever felt blessed when you're really hurting? Have you ever felt blessed when anxiety has overwhelmed you because the things in the world are pressing in around you? Have you ever really experienced that blessing? Remember, blessed means God's favor. So you can interpret this: when you're going through your hurt, when you're going through your struggle, when you're going through that harsh time, remember, you're in God's favor. Boy, that's contrary to the Western culture, isn't it? When I'm going through hurt, when I'm going through struggle, when I'm going through challenge, when your job is threatened, when your livelihood is threatened, when everything seems to be falling apart, you want to give up. You want that flame to go out. But faithfully, we stay close to Christ. We turn to him. And in the midst of our struggle, we find ourselves in his favor. Throughout the scriptures, people who were in the darkest times, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, thrown into the fire, God was with them. Daniel in the lion's den, God was with him. David before a giant, God was with him. It wasn't the struggle that showed that they were failures. It was the struggle that showed that they were involved with this thing called life, and God was involved in it with them. So what giant do you face? What struggle do you have? What den have you found yourself in where you're struggling and feeling like God has rejected you? When right here, Jesus said, "You're in my favor." In the midst of your hurt. We don't feel very favored in those times. Susanna Wesley, who had 17 children, I believe she had 17 children, when she was asked, "Which of your children, which one is your favorite?" And she said something to the effect, "The one that's hurting." You know, when your children are hurting and they're under your blessing, in other words, under your favor, because you're spending more time with them, you're comforting them, you're holding on to them, they don't feel very blessed at that moment. They don't know why they're going through what they're going through. But the very fact that they have their parents' favor, they're with them, their favor is seen in the attention that the parent gives to them. He uses this strange statement, "Don't let anybody steal your crown." Like I said, there are so many different sermons found in this one letter that we could just take each topic and go on. We're holding on. We've got God holding on to us. There's one whole series we could teach. We could teach a whole series on what it means that we're going to be protected from the trial that's coming on the whole world. We could give a whole sermon on, or a series of sermons on what it means that Jesus is true. We could give a whole series on what it means to be faithful. We could give a whole series on this one statement: don't let anybody steal your crown. How can they ever do that? Well, we know so far with the other letters, Jesus warned them about Jezebel, warned them about Baal, warned them about Balaam, warned them about the Nicolaitans. Teachings that can come in to influence you away from Christ. Other people can influence you away from Christ. They can have an impact on your life and cause you to no longer let your light burn brightly. That torch that you're carrying can begin to dim due to the friends you've been hanging around. How many times we've seen people who are on fire for Christ go to college and have the university snuff out the flame. They stole their crown. Do the people around us draw us closer to Christ, or do they move us to compromise our walk with Christ? You begin to compromise your relationship with Christ because of the influence around you. Let me ask another question. How are you influencing the people around you? Do you influence them to draw closer to Christ? Or have you been influencing them to compromise their walk with Christ? See, someone can steal your crown, but you better be careful you don't steal somebody else's by influencing them contrary to Christ. You have to finish that race with your torch burning. Are you moving in deeper passion with Christ to where the flame of that torch is burning brighter now than it was? Or is the flame barely flickering? Are you becoming more excited in your walk with Christ, or more apathetic in your walk with Him? See, Jesus is literally saying this, just to simplify it. Don't let anything or anyone come between you and me. Don't you dare let anyone or anything come between you and me in our relationship. Think about it in marriage. If I had a friend that was constantly telling me to do something that would hurt my relationship with my wife, I'd be a fool to continue going that direction, wouldn't I? To let them steal the relationship I have with my wife by the influence they have in my life. The church is the bride of Christ. And we have these strangers trying to sway us away from our groom. And as fools, we oftentimes embrace those things. Don't let anybody come between you and me. Don't let anybody steal your crown. Don't let anyone blow out your torch. It's been entrusted to you. Set it ablaze. Even in the midst of your struggle, even in the midst of your hurt, even when you feel like giving up, even when you're sick and you can't find another step to take because you just feel so bad, even when everything's falling apart, draw close to Christ. Because Jesus honors those who hold on to Him. See, that's the other thing. Success isn't marked by how comfortable a life you have. Not one of the apostles had a very comfortable life. Not one of the prophets had a very comfortable life. The world hates them. Jesus said that. If they hated me, they're going to hate you. The world is full of stress and pain. C.S. Lewis was asked one time, why do the righteous suffer? His response was, why not? They're the only ones who have been equipped with the power to go through it. Jesus says you're going to be made like a pillar. The people in Philadelphia lived on a fault line. And the only thing that's left standing right now are some pillars. They're the only solid thing left. Jesus says, I'm going to make you like one of those pillars. You're going to still be standing. After all the shaking, after all the rock and rolling of the ground, you're still going to be standing. I'm going to make you like a pillar. And then he says this, and we miss this. 3 things that he's going to do. He's going to write his name 3 different ways. Follow me close on this. The first one, he says, I will write on you the name of my God. What does that mean? In other words, you will be God's everlasting possession. And I'm going to write your name on him. He will be your identification, your identifier. It's like adoption. He will be your family. Then he says, I'm going to write the name of the city of my God, the New Jerusalem. That means you're going to have everlasting citizenship. You've got a brand new passport. You not only belong to God, you're part of his family, but on top of it, you're a citizen of his city. And then this third thing that is incredible, I'm going to write my new name on you. What happens? Today it's kind of changed, but it's usually the custom when you get married. Carrie's maiden name is Kirk. She took my last name when I married her. Do you get the picture of what Jesus is saying? I'm going to give you my name. You're my bride. I'm the groom. You're going to have my name. And it's an everlasting relationship. For eternity, it's going to be like this. It shows who you belong to. It shows union. It shows connection. It shows relationship. Whose you are is far more important than who you are. It shows stability and security. It says, I'm no longer alone. I am loved. I belong. Someone wants me. That's kind of the struggle when we're growing up and we're looking for a relationship. We're going, where's my someone? You know, they call it the significant other. Where's the one who wants me? And for some reason, for most of us, we feel we're not complete until we find somebody who wants us. There's something about finding somebody who wants you that gives you significance. Jesus says, I want you. To be with somebody who wants to identify with you is amazing. You know the cry of an orphan? Who do I belong to? Where's my family? And when they're finally adopted, to know that they belong because somebody wants them. Whose you are is far more important than who you are. Who you belong to identifies you. It gives you significance. So Jesus will write his name on us to show that we belong to him. He'll write his name on us to define who we are. He will write his name on us to show that we are precious to him. We're worth something to him. We're not worthless. We're worth his life. When he writes his name on us, it says that we have an eternal relationship with him, with the one who shares his name with us. We receive the family name. So hold on. Jesus says this in other letters where he says, "Behold, I'm coming quickly." That's a warning. Straighten your life out, or I'm going to come like a thief in the night. I'm going to come at a time you don't know. I'm going to come. That's a warning. You'd better get your life straightened out. Get back on track with me. But when he says that to the church in Philadelphia, and he says, "I'm coming back soon," he uses it to comfort them. You're going through a hard time. You're struggling. You're really suffering, but you're holding on. I'm coming back soon. Don't worry, I'm coming back soon. Take courage in that. Find faith and hope in that. Listen, while you're holding on, before I get there, don't let anybody steal your crown. Don't let anybody blow out your torch. You're so close to crossing that finish line. Just hold on. Keep hanging on, because I'll keep hanging on to you. Isn't that what we need to hear today when we don't feel like we can hold on anymore, that Jesus is holding on to us? He loves you more than you could ever imagine. When you cry, he cries with you. When you hurt, he's right there beside you, even when you don't feel him being there. It's a wonderful thing about being in relationship with him. He's closer to us than a brother, closer to us than a friend. Jesus doesn't leave us when we're hurting and suffering, no matter how much we feel that he's not with us. You can ask Jesus, which one of your kids do you like the most? The one who's hurting and is still being faithful. Jesus is with you. He loves you. He will never leave you or forsake you. And whatever struggle, whatever hurt, whatever frustration, whatever loss that you are experiencing, know that you're not alone. He's holding on to you. Keep holding on to him. The finish line is getting real close. The Apostle Paul said, "Now it's time for my departure. It's coming soon. I've fought the fight. I've run the race. Now there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness." That day will come for us. It's coming for David soon. We'll all face that time. May our torch be bright. May it be burning. I want mine to turn into a bonfire. I want it burning. Man, I want it to be a blowtorch. Almost 50 years of doing this. My prayer today, more so than ever before, is I want to shine brightly for Jesus. And may it be brighter than ever before.